بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Welcome to Beginning Classical Arabic Wednesday evening. Inshallah, we will try this class to finish up our current lesson and maybe even start the next lesson depending on how far we get, inshallah ta'ala. So here we go. Okay, we have reached a new exercise. Here, they're giving us blanks. Okay, so previously, we have been looking at Sifah mawsoof pairs, right? Adjective and the nouns that they describe. They had all come in discrete parts of the sentence, right? Recall at the very, very first examples that we had, all of the Sifah mawsoof pairs were in the khabar, right? And so every one of them was nakira, right? Such and such and such was the mubtada, talibun mujtahidun, right? And so it would agree in the four things it had to agree in. And in that particular case, it was nakira. It was indefinite because it was part of the khabar. Okay. And then we saw in the previous exercise, things start to shift to the mubtada. So now we're dealing with Sifah mawsoof pairs that have alif lam, right? And that are in the mubtada, because the mubtada has to be definite. It has to be ma'rifah. So we have, for example, at-talibul mujtahidu fil fasli. Okay? We have a Sifah mawsoof pair in the mubtada. So now what this exercise is going to have you do is it's going to have you make a decision as to basically where is this Sifah mawsoof pair occurring? Is it in the khabar? Is it in the mubtada? Is it going to need tanween or is it going to need alif lam? Right? And so it's having you practice matching the Sifah to the mawsoof in terms of its definiteness. It will become very clear once we get going. So let's start with Sister Semen. So what you have here is you have an example and a blank. They give you the adjective in the left column that you're supposed to use, so you don't have to worry about that. But you have to choose the right form of the word in order to match the mawsoof, the noun that you are describing with that adjective. So go ahead, Sister Semen, let it see what we can do.
Okay. Aina al-mudarrisul jadidu.
MashaAllah. Excellent work. So everybody notice how, first of all, she nailed the correct ending for al-mudarrisu. It's the mubtada, because the actual sentence is al-mudarrisul jadidu aina. Where is it? However, we have put forth in the beginning of the sentence the part that we're questioning, the where. Al-mudarrisu, she knows that the adjective has to match the noun that it's describing in the four things. The first of them here is its definiteness or its definity. We have alif lam, we have to have alif lam. Or more precise, this is definite, and so this needs to be definite. And since they're common nouns, they are definite by an alif lam. Al-mudarrisu. The second thing is al-mudarrisu is singular. Okay, so jadid has to be singular. We haven't learned the plural forms of jadid or any other sort of thing, so no worries there. The third thing is that al-jadid has to be masculine because al-mudarrisu is masculine. If it was ain al-mudarrisatu, we would have to say al-jadidatu, right? But we do not have that scenario. And the last thing is that it needs to follow in grammatical case. Since al-mudarrisu is in the mubtada, that means that al-jadidu is part of the mubtada as well, and the mubtada is marfu'. Very good. So that's the idea behind this exercise. Number 2, Brother Muhammad Mu'tasim.
التاجر الكبير التاجر الكبير في السوق.
Very good. Excellent. Translate that for us while we're at it.
The kabir, tall, right? Long.
Is big.
Big. The big merchant is in the market.
Very good. Excellent work. And that is su. Very good. Great job. Okay. Good job. Okay. Number 3, the Sayyid family. Someone from the Sayyid family.
Oh, okay. Anatalabun qadimun.
Very good. Ana talibun qadimun. Listen to how she matched it. This time, it's in the khabar. Huh? It's in the predicate. And so she knew that talib would have to have a tanween. Qadim would have to also have a tanween. I wrote them in the 2 different ways that you'll see them. This little thing is actually a noon. So, well, noon. It's the same as this, writing 2 dhammas. Very good. Number 4, Dr. Musa.
جلس الطالب الجديد خلف محمد.
Excellent. Very good. Translate that for us.
The new student sat next to Muhammad.
Fantastic.
Or in front of Muhammad.
Even better. And best yet is behind Muhammad.
Behind.
Yeah.
That's okay because you got the hard part right. The hard part was flipping the word order from Arabic to English, because Arabic it would be he sat, the new student, behind Muhammad. So look at how, there's a lot that needs to be balanced when we have a jumla fi'liya, a sentence that starts with a verb, and Dr. Muhsin did very well. The new student sat behind Muhammad, and he knew that al-jadidu had to follow al-talibu. Here, not because it's part of the mubtada. No. This is a different type of sentence, and so it has different parts. We have a jumla fi'liya. The 3 parts of jumla fi'liya are fi'l, which is the verb, fa'il, and maf'ul. So, forgot my fa. So, verb, subject, object. Okay? We don't worry about grammar for this one yet. This one is going to be marfu' with a dhamma. This one's going to be mansub, unless there's a prepositional phrase, which there is. So here we have a-talibu is marfu' with a dhamma, not because it's mubtada, but because it is fa'il. Okay? Al-jadidu has to follow a-talibu in its grammatical case, which it does. And in the other things, singular, singular, masculine, masculine, marfu', marfu', and ma'rifa, ma'rifa. Khalfa Muhammadin, because khalfa is a dharf, it's a type of preposition. This is a prepositional phrase which stands in place of the object, the maf'ul. Excellent. Okay, moving, right along to Sister Masarrat, number 5.
من الولد الطويل من الولد الطويل الذي خرج من الفصل.
Yes, very good. Just one word fell out of there. That's al-an. But she did excellent.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. It's an unnecessary word, strictly speaking, to the sentence. The sentence is completely fine without it.
Actually, my book doesn't have it. I was reading from the book.
Okay, well, even better. MashaAllah. So, many al-waladu talibu. Oops, I'm sorry. I misheard you. I misheard you there. طويل.
Wilu, the tall boy. Who's the tall boy who just came out of the classroom?
Excellent. Very, very good. So what type of, I'm going to ask you a hard question. What type of sentence is this?
I think it's both actually.
Okay, now, strictly speaking, it's not possible to be both at the same time. What can happen is we can have a jumla ismiya as part of the jumla fi'liya, and we can have the opposite. We can have a jumla fi'liya as, for example, the khabar, the part of a jumla ismiya. So you can just pick one and then we'll, or
So I think the first part, which is who is the tall boy, I think that's Ismia.
good. Yes. So the
And
second,
then
good.
sorry.
You're right. Go ahead, finish. Sorry.
Well, I guess it's a jumla ismiya, and then the failure is part of it. I think it is part of the khabar.
Yes, fantastic.
Because the subject is who is the tall boy. So the tall boy is the subject, and then what about him? He's the one who just came out of the class. So
Very good. Excellent. Yes. So if we're breaking this down, okay, this is a jumla ismi. Where does the mubtada end? Remember that if we have a question, how do we find out the answer? We have to straighten it out into a statement. So if this were a statement, it would be al-walad al-tawilu alladhi kharaja al-ana min al-fasli man. So you're mostly right, but the khabar is simply man. And all of this is the mubtada.
Oh, all of this is the mubtada?
All of that is the mubtada. And what connects this is a jumla fi'liya right here. Kharaja al-ana min al-fasli. What connects it is alladhi, a relative pronoun. So this is something that we haven't learned strictly in grammar. It's called sila, and it has a mawsoof. But this is subordinated under the mubtada. Because if you come back to the philosophy of what is a subject, what is a predicate, it's who we're talking about and what we're saying about them. We're not primarily trying to say that he left the classroom. We're primarily trying to say who he is. And so the question is seeking to answer, who is he? All this other information is clarifying who is the mubtada, making it specific or as specific as possible, eliminating all other possibilities and ambiguities. Al-walad al-tawilu, so we add a tawil because a tawil eliminates all the short students. Alladhi kharaj al-ana min al-fasli. It eliminates all the students that didn't just leave now from the class. And that's all the subject. What do we want to know about the subject? If this were an affirmative sentence, a statement, what would we want to say about the subject? We would want to say, who is he? Or he is Muhammad. Or he is nice. Or he is from Syria. Anything, right? That's the actual predicate. And everything else is just a very long, fancy subject. But the primary exercise, which is just simply filling in the adjective and making it agree with what it describes, was easy enough. Al-waladu tawilu, right? Singular, singular, masculine, masculine, marfu', marfu', marfu' because it's mubtada, not because it's fa'il or khabar, and ma'rifa, ma'rifa. Excellent. Sheikh family, number 6 and 7. Sheikh family, you with us?
Sorry. Yes. Ammar, where am I? Ammarun waladun khasirun.
MashaAllah. Very good. Okay, and translate that for us.
Ammar is a short boy.
Very good. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a tricky question. What's going on with this sentence? Every single word ends with a tanween. I thought that if we had a mubtada and a khabar, that it would be ma'rifa nakira. We'd have an alif lam in there somewhere. How can I tell? What's going on in the sentence?
Ammarun is a name, so he's definite. It's a definite. Can't be nakira.
Fantastic. Exactly. So where would we draw the line between mubtada and khabar?
Right after Ammarun. So Ammar is a short boy.
Yes, fantastic. So you see that Qasir here agrees with Walad in the four things, right? They're both part of the khabar, singular, singular, masculine, masculine, marfu', marfu', nakira, nakira. Very good. Dr. Zia, if you're there, could you do number 7?
Faisalun tabibun shahirun.
Very good. Translate that for us.
Faisal is a famous doctor.
Right, mashallah, tabarakallah. World famous Dr. Faisal. And it's the same exact thing as the previous sentence as far as grammar goes. Don't be thrown off by everything having tanween. Not every tanween is nakira. If we're dealing with a proper name, a proper masculine name, then this is ma'rifa, even though it has a tanween. Since it's ma'rifa, we know that the difference, or the border between the mubtada and the nakira, the border between the mubtada and the khabar, if the khabar is not a prepositional phrase, if it's made up of asma, of an ism, is where the ma'rifa crosses over to the nakira. The definite crosses over into the indefinite. Faisal is definite. We know exactly who we're talking about. Tabibun shahirun, a famous doctor. Is he the only famous doctor? No. There's a ton of famous doctors. And so it's nakira. It's not specific. It's not definite. So that switch over from ma'rifa to nakira, from definite to indefinite, is where you get your understanding of is and the difference between the mubtada and the khabar. Good. Next up, Brother Sa'id, can you do number 8? Do you have your volume on? It said that you were unmuted, but then I didn't hear anything.
Okay, sorry, I was talking while I was on mute.
No problem.
Bismillah. لمن هذا السرير مكسور.
Good. Translate that for us.
لمن هذا السرير. I do not know, sorry.
Liman is probably the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. What does هذا السرير المكسور mean?
This is سرير.
What's sarir?
سرير bed.
Very good. What's maksur?
مكسور bed.
Maksur is broken.
Broken. Broken bed.
So this broken bed is literally this part. This broken bed. Okay? And that's our mubtada. That's our mubtada because the actual sentence is هذا السرير المكسور liman. Is whose. Okay? Li here is possessive. It's lam al-milkiyah. So it means belongs to. And men is our old familiar men, meaning who. Okay? So هذا السرير المكسور liman. This broken bed is whose. In Arabic, we shoot the question up to the front. لمن هذا السرير المكسور? Very good. And so that's a jumla ismiya. This is the mubtada. The khabar is the question. Good. Brother Tamim, number 9.
هذا قلم مكسور.
Very good.
This is a broken pen.
Fantastic. And this is fairly straightforward. هذا is the mubtada. The khabar is قلم مكسور, and it agrees in the 4 things. We have singular, singular, masculine, masculine, marfu', marfu', nakira, nakira. Very good. Any questions about these before I scroll down? Fairly straightforward. Mostly review. Okay, let's scroll. And oh, mashallah, that's right there. Great. And perfect. We have 2 more. So Sister Aram, could you do number 10 for us?
Sorry, she's in the clinic, so she is. I cannot attend, but I can answer. Okay. أين السكينة سكينا حادا.
Okay. Now you made this mansub. Okay. So I'm going to ask, what is the thing in the sentence that makes it mansub?
Okay, I thought haddan is the word. Hadda means real, right? Really.
That's jiddan. That's jiddan.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what haddan means.
Good. Haddun means sharp.
Sharp. Okay.
Okay. So let's try.
So, Aina sakinu haddu.
Very good. MashaAllah. Whoops. My fault there. Al-haddu. Exactly. And so as-sakinu is knife and al-haddu is sharp. And notice how they have to agree with singular, singular, masculine, masculine, marfu', marfu', ma'rifa, ma'rifa. Because the as-sakinu has alif lam, al-haddu will also have alif lam. And Brother Muhammad Tariq was completely right. If it were jiddan, then it would always be mansub, right? So notice how, when it comes to knowing, imagine we have all of these sentences in front of us with no harakat. There's 2 ways to be able to know and understand and decipher the sentence. One is by the grammar, which mashallah, you guys have a nice, healthy heaping portion of. And the second is vocab, right? If you see a word you've never seen before, it's extremely hard to correctly place it. You might know what comes at the end if you can figure out the grammar. You might know if it's a dhamma or a kasra or etc. But to know all the other harakat in the word is almost impossible if you don't already know the word in some sort of form. So jiddan is an adverb, not an adjective, always mansub. And so he intuitively, he develops the instinct. If he saw jiddan, it affected his decision for what as-sakinu was going to end with. And once he realized that it was haddun, it was actually an adjective, not an adverb, he intuitively knew to change a sakin to having a dhamma, and he knew that al-haddu would follow with a dhamma as well. Cool stuff. Of course, this is a jumla ismiya. As-sakinu al-haddu is the mubtada, and aina is the khabar. It's shot up into the front of the sentence because that's what we are asking about. Good. And back to the top, Sister Masarrat, could you bring us home with number 11?
لمن هذه السيارة الجديد?
You have jadidu in your book?
Oh, sorry, Jamilatu.
Very good.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I mean, it could both be, they're both correct completely. I mean, they both.
لمن هذه السيارة الجميلة?
Very good. And just translate that for us.
Whom does this beautiful car belong to?
MashaAllah. Very good. And it's a jumla ismiya. Here's the mubtada. هذه السيارة الجميلة. الجميلة has to agree with السيارة in the four things. We have singular, singular, feminine, feminine, right? Definite, definite, marfu', marfu'. And liman is the khabar, it's the question, and so it makes its way up to the front. Very, very good, everybody. Excellent work. Does anybody have any questions about this lesson, about anything else in the Arabic language at all? Because this is pretty much the end of the lesson. There's just a couple loose ends to wrap up. There's just this reading exercise, which we'll do. It looks like this will take us to the end of the class period for today. So we'll start with a new lesson next class, inshallah ta'ala. I'll point out the ending points right now, and then we'll double back to finish the reading exercise. So notice here how they have a Sifah mawsoof pair. They're calling it by the other terminology, which is acceptable, na'at and man'ut. However, that becomes difficult to say, and it sounds a lot like not, and so I avoid it when teaching beginning Arabic. But it's the same thing. Baytun jadidun. Baytun is the word that we're describing, whereas jadidun is the actual adjective, and so this is the opposite order of English. And then we have our word bank here. Al-maktabatu is like the office, can also be a bookstore. Al-ana, now. We talked about how this tilde on top of the lam, on top of the alif is actually an extended hamza, or a hamza with an alif after it. Al-mirwahatu was a fan, like a circular fan. Al-mustawsafu was a pharmacy. Al-madrasatu was a school. Al-waziru is a minister or an advisor. Shahirun, famous. Haddun, sharp. And al-thanawiyatu is secondary, as in al-madrasatu thanawiyatu, secondary school. Good. Iqra. Last exercise. This is going to solely focus on the first relative pronoun that we have learned, alladhi. Relative pronouns are connecting words, okay? He who, she who, the one who, which, that, these sorts of words in English. They are used in order to give a longer descriptive phrase to elucidate or specify what it is we're talking about in the first place, right? So whereas it fulfills a similar purpose to adjectives, except it's longer and clunkier than adjectives. It's a way to link to an entire phrase or sentence instead of just a word. We saw in the previous example, al-waladu tawilu, okay? We used one adjective in order to specify further who we're talking about. It wasn't enough. The context necessitated that we need more information in order to distinguish whom we're talking about. So we use relative pronouns in order to make a bridge to a longer phrase that's going to give us even more information to clarify who we're actually talking about. And we saw that a lot. So let's just read through these and then we'll call it a day, inshallah. The list of participants got jumbled. We did Sister Musarrat, so now let's have the Sheikh family. Can you read number 1 and 2 for us?
الطالب الذي خرج من الفصل الآن من Indonesia.
New word, it's a loan word, Indonesia. Okay, excellent, very good. Where, okay, we know this is a jumla ismiya. Where is the mubtada, where's the khabar?
Student who's Mubtada is a talibu.
Okay, so where's the khabar? Everything else? Where will is fall? That's the question, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, the other way. The whole thing up to is from the Minal Indonesia.
Very good, right there. Okay, so very good. So this alladhi is translating as who? The student who left the classroom just now. Okay, that's all mubtada. That's all just specifying whom we're talking about. What about him? We haven't said anything about him. Is from Indonesia. Here, this is a prepositional phrase, jar and majroor. Indonesia, it ends with an alif, and so it's fixed. It's not going to demonstrate the genitive case like other words would after min. So here we have mubtada khabar. Very good.
But the khabar is not nakira, right?
This khabar is not, strictly speaking, nakira because it is a prepositional phrase and not an ism. Good. Dr. Zia, can you do number 2 for us?
Al-Kitabul Lazi Lal-Maktabi Lil-Mudarrisi.
Very good. Can you tell us where the mubtada ends?
It's so
After Allah.
After Allah, you know, not every advisor is worthless.
no. The maktabu lil that what's it? Teacher's desk is
the book which is on the teacher's desk. Is that what it means?
Yes, exactly. The book that or which is on the teacher's desk. What have we said about it? Have we said anything about it yet?
About what?
The
book. Yes. The book which is. So after Allazi?
After Alladhi? Nope.
Which is on teacher's desk.
Okay, you caught me on a technicality, and that which is, okay, yes, technically there's an is there. But have we said what we're really driving at? Is the sentence complete? If I say in English, the book that is on that.
we haven't said anything. It's just the whole thing is just moved it up. We haven't said anything about the book.
Exactly. It's not a complete sentence. The book that is what?
We're still describing that book. We're not saying anything about it, about the is part of it.
Right. So where would the mubtada end?
So at the end of the sentence then, and we're waiting for the khabar parts.
Right here.
No.
Right here. That's right. Because, okay, if we translate the entire sentence, it's the book which is on the desk belongs to, okay, yeah, you caught me on a technicality. See, we've reached the limits of English translation. I try to give you the translation so that, you know, it's a crutch, it's the training wheels. But here we've reached the limits because the is here comes as part of the relative pronoun, which is, right? Here we could say who has, right? Has is technically a verb, right? Belongs to is another verb, okay? So it's more precise to go with the kind of the philosophical statement of what is a subject, what is a predicate. Have we said a complete sentence if we've said al-kitabu alladhi ala al-maktabi? We have not said a complete sentence, even in English. The book which is on the desk.
Lil mudarrisi, the little part of it.
Yes.
What it is?
Is the teacher's.
Is the teacher.
Belongs to the teacher. right? And that's the khabar. That is the information about the subject which we are trying to communicate. Good, excellent. A little bit tricky. Every crutch, every analogy between two languages is imperfect. And forgive me for introducing crutches that might be imperfect once we push them, right? Just like the category of nouns is not the same as the category of ism in Arabic. Ism in Arabic is more broad than the category of nouns. Ism includes adjectives, right? And adverbs and other things like that. So the crutch of is has really taken us far. It's taken us 54 pages, mashallah, tabarakallah. But we found an example here where it starts to teeter. It starts to teeter a little bit. Good. Let's go with Brother Sa'id, number 3.
لمن هذا القلم الجميل الذي على المكتب.
Fantastic. Very good. So whose beautiful pen is this that is on the mubtada is all of this. هذا القلم الجميل الذي على المكتب. What are we saying about it? Or because it's a question, what are we asking about it? Liman. Whose is it? We don't really care that it's beautiful. We don't really care that it's on the desk. It's not what we're trying to say, right? There are only tools that we're using in order to ask what we're really trying to figure out, which is, whose is it? Good job. Number 4, Brother Tamim.
البيت الكبير الذي في ذلك الشارع في ذلك الشارع في ذلك الشارع للوزير.
Very good. Translate that for us.
The large house which the large house is the one which
Yeah.
The large house is the one. I'm not sure how these two things connect, and then that street, the street of the principal.
Very good. Okay, so I'll just ask you this. What belongs to the it's wazir, so the minister? What belongs to the minister? The street or the house?
The house.
Good, good. So right there, we know that our mubtada khabar split is here.
Okay.
The whole point of what we're trying to say is, whose house is it? Right? To whom does the house belong? What did they do to you? What did they do to you? 2 things. They switched up the demonstrative pronoun from hada to dhalika. Okay, so hada was for near. Everything else, mashallah, was hada. Easy. Now they use dhalika, which is there, far. Okay. Then they use the prepositional phrase, but they split it with the demonstrative pronoun. Fishari. Fishari means on the street. Right? On that street, we could perhaps translate this phrase. So it turns out to mean the big house which is on that street belongs to the minister. Okay, everybody, does that make sense? Fi, don't get hung up on fi. Again, as we said, 2 languages, nothing is perfectly analogous. You've been used to thinking as fi as in. Guess what? Fi has more meanings than in. Or sometimes, even if fi does mean in, there might be situations in Arabic that we use the preposition in that we don't use it in English. In English, we would never say in the street to talk about where something's location is. We would say on Main Street, right? We would use on. Here in Arabic, we're learning, we don't use on. We don't use ala to talk about the location of a house on a street. We use fi, which literally means in, but Arabic uses it different. So fi shari' means, we would translate it, is on the street. Fi dhalika shari' is, you can imagine the person who's saying this is pointing. Al-baytul kabir alladhi fi dhalika shari' lil wazir. The big house on that street, or the big house that is on that street, belongs to the minister. Oh, we're rolling now. We're moving. MashaAllah. Okay, last one for today. Sister Semin, number 5.
Okay. السرير الذي في غرفة خالد مكسور.
Fantastic. Can you translate that for us?
Okay. The bed that is in Khalid's room is broken.
Fantastic. MashaAllah. Well done. Well done. Where is the end of the mubtada and the beginning of the khabar?
Okay. Okay, so hold on. السرير الذي في غرفة خالد is the مبتدا.
MashaAllah. Ya salam. Ya salam. Exactly. Because all of that is just a prelude. It's not our purpose. Our purpose is not to talk, to tell you that it's in Khalid's room. Our purpose is to tell you it's broken. That's what we want to tell you. The only thing that we're using all of this other information is so that you know exactly which bed is broken. We don't want you to go up and take out, his sister's bed, thinking that that's the broken one. Nope, the one that's in Khalid's room. السرير الذي في غرفة خالد مكسور. Very, very good. Okay. We've flossed our minds enough, I think. MashaAllah. Great job, everybody. Anybody have any questions? Everybody, also, just a quick reminder, we have a Telegram channel for both reminders when class is about to start, and also to give you a direct link to the class videos once it's over. So please check your email. If you've registered for the course, it's in your email and you'll find it there. Anybody have any other questions about anything that we've done? This is the end of the chapter. Congratulations. Sifah mawsoof, part 1, done. Fantastic job. Very, very delicate intro to relative pronouns, done, alhamdulillah. And we're going to move on to a new topic next class, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, it seems like everyone's good. Fantastic work, ameen wa iyaakum. And I will see you next time, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.